all our brothers and sisters world over, wherever they are. We extend a very warm welcome to Madam Veena Raizada. She's an education consultant. You have been watching her. She has been giving such innovative pedagogy, andragogy, lot of valuable inputs to our entire program series. If you'll go to the GS Motivator, you'll be able to see she has given during this entire series number of programs, and they are such a vibrant and innovative and pragmatic and thought-provoking, programs. Today, she's going to talk about NEP 2020, effective communication skills, and that's why I'm also trying to improve my skills. Ladies and gentlemen, ICSI International Chamber for Service Industry, and these are 26 webinars per week, and this is a beaming whole day, and this is the next program. Immediately after this, you'll be meeting non-resident Indians from America, and today they are going to talk about NEP 2020, global strategy and importance of research. And we complete today 500 webinars with this particular
Congratulations, program. Sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, tomorrow onwards, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, new milestone for education, future of education, that is going to be on schools, universities, higher education, skills, and MSME. With these words, I'm not going to get into details. I'm not getting into the details because it's on the YouTube, and this is a linkage for all of you. Thank you very much. And I hand you over to Madam Veena Raizada, and I hand over the entire stage to the lady. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gulshan Sharma. Pleasure for me to be part of this series of 500 webinars, and I feel blessed to have this opportunity to be on your platform. Good evening to everyone from India, or to all those who have joined us today for this series of 500 concluding, and we're going to Guinness Book of Records. Congratulations, Dr. Gulshan Sharma, for that. So here I start sharing with my screen. So today's topic, empowering educators, effective communication skills. We all know that communication is.
You got to make the slide okay, ma'am. Initially it was okay, but
just a minute.
later on, कोई बात नहीं. देखिए आप इसको जरा.
Is this all right?
अभी आ गया, ma'am. अभी आ गया. Please go ahead.
Okay. So communication is one of the very, very important skills for we all as individuals, not only for the learning process of teachers and the students in the school education, but in life too, because how do you maintain your interpersonal relationships? How do you communicate? How do you become an influencer? How do you become a motivational speaker? Everything is related to communication skills. So we are going to talk about certain aspects of communication skills. They may not be complete whole, but a glimpse into what it can be and what it should be. So the progression of the session would be understanding the communication meaning process and whatever we are doing, and 21st century framework. This is very, very important for all of us as a part of learning in 21st century. That's what is we are living in, and we are going to step into the third decade of 21st century. Then what workplace communication skills are there, what online communication skills do we need, and simple strategies to develop communication skills. We are going to focus on that more so that we can have some takeaways from this session for developing, honing, enhancing our communication skills. So the 4 C's that were focused upon by 21st century education are creativity and critical thinking, on which I did a session just 2 days back. And next is collaboration and communication. Communication I'm doing today, collaboration I'll be speaking on Tuesday. So stay tuned for Tuesday also in the afternoon. So creativity, divergent thinking, critical thinking, convergent thinking, collaboration, how do you co-create, co-construct, coordinate, share resources, and how do you communicate? That is what we are going to focus today, that verbal, non-verbal, written, visual, and listening, formal and informal communication that impacts our interpersonal relationships. So what exactly is communication? Communication is an exchange of ideas, feeling, information by speaking, writing, symbolic or behavior. So communication, number one, it is purposeful. It can be one way or two way, depending upon in what kind, even multiple ways of communication can be there when you are participating in a group discussion. But it is intentional, it is purposeful, it is interactive, it is irreversible. Whatever you have communicated once, it can't be taken back. So be careful of what you're communicating. And then it is could be formal communication when you write formal mails, formal letters, formal communication to the parents, circulars to the parent, or within the organization. Or it can be informal when you are just conversing. Communication is an act or process when you use your words, signs, behaviors, expressions, so your body language along with your expression of your eyes, expression of your face, glow of your eyes, everything matters a lot. So how you are communicating, what you are communicating, and what is your body saying about the same communication? Does it come from your heart? Are you speaking from the heart? Do you belong to it? Have you imbibed the spirit with which you are trying to convey to the others? Now, workplace communication skills, you have to be having effective and clarity of speaking. That's very important as a leader, as a head of the organization, or as a middle level manager. The clarity of instructions has to be very good. Then actively listening to first the people problems or issues of concern, and then processing them in your mind with the kind of knowledge information that you have about the work process, and then only respond. You are a keen observer of the behavior of the group, of the team members, of seniors, of juniors, even the housekeepers, even the security guards, and then you understand those behaviors and accordingly address their issues. You have an ability to grasp and interpret what is going on. That is one of the very important workplace communication skills. And remember that all through verbal and non-verbal. Non-verbal relates to your body, your gestures, your expressions of eyes, hands, body postures also reflect how you are communicating, what you are communicating. Are you happy? Are you instructing? Are you dictating? Whatever you are doing. So everything counts a lot at the workplace communication to make it a congenial environment for everyone to be happily associating with you. This is something very important, which is very important in the current scenario, because online communication modes, synchronous and asynchronous. Online, real-time, instant messages, chats, voice, video calls, online platform, the way teachers have taken over to this. In the beginning, we had lots of problems, but over a period of time, we have learned how to communicate, how to understand the behavior of students online, and how to respond according to this. Online communication skill, one of the very important things. You may be digitally literate, you may be digitally proficient, you may be having digital proficiency, literacy, competency, but one of the very important thing is internet etiquettes. So how do you respect and honor the connectivity that technology has given to you? How do you respect the privacy of others? How you are be respectful while commenting. It's always written even on the YouTube channels when you're writing it out. So how you're writing with the right kind of choice of words that you write on the comment box. And very, very important in the world of technology, wherein we keep on forwarding, reposting, sharing some information, fact check before you forward and respond. The fake news handling that has been going on in the past few months and past 2 years. So it is very, very important for us before we switch on the button of forwarding or sharing or reposting some information. So check it out before you do that. That is online communication skills. Now we will talk about communication skills barriers. Now communication challenges. When do you have a challenge? When you have to address the behavior problems, your students, mischievous students, commenting students in the class. And the moment you say something, there is a defensive reaction that comes. Even we ourselves keep on, the moment we are pointed out, we have a defensive argument for that. So how do you address behavior problems, minimizing the other's defensive reactions? That is a communication barrier. Then how do you initiate communication with a difficult group member, difficult child who doesn't want to participate in your activity, who's not interested, who's not involved into it? That is a challenge, that is a barrier. How do you manage productivity and results? How do you work with people of groups when there are one or more people who are creating problems within the group? They have resentment, they could even damage the relationships. So that is a communication barrier. How do you have communication skills to address these kinds of communication barriers? That makes you an effective communicator. How do you resolve conflicts? How do you resolve conflict with the parents, with the student, with the colleagues? Are you accommodating? Are you avoiding? Are you compromising? Are you collaborating? Are you competing? So how do you manage a conflict resolution in your own organization? That is one of the communication barriers and the challenges for which you have to be an effective communicator. So if you are accommodating, you are listening to other person carefully and then responding. If you are avoiding, you are not interested in listening to the other person's problem at all. If you are compromising, you say, okay, fine, you can keep doing it. And if you are collaborating, come sit down together, we will find out a solution. And if you are competing, oh, fine, I can do it better than you. If you can't do it, just drop it. So the way you communicate in such kind of situations, that is being an effective communicator. This is a challenge, a barrier which you need to really work upon as a leader, even as a class teacher, even as a parent. So conflict resolution barrier challenge is something very, very important for all of us to learn the communication skills and adopt a style according to the situations in which we are. How do you manage disagreement? Your child is wanting something desperately and you don't want to say it because of something or the other. So how do you really have that convincing the child that this is not good at this particular time? So how do you have your personal and professional relationship also, your parental relationship with the child also, your leadership relationship with your team members also? So how do you manage disagreements with your teams? That is to be an effective communicator. Then at times our own behavior is a problem. So how do we know that we are not doing it right? So that is another communication barrier or challenge that one has to face and resolve. So next we will look at what is a communication cycle. You message, you encode it, you send it, and the receiver decodes it and interprets it. Now, if the message intent is right, you will get a good feedback. And if it is not anticipated, you may get a reaction which you were not even expecting. So how do you write a crisp, clear, purposeful, intentional message, keeping in view the audience, the customer to whom you are sending it? That is what makes a communication cycle and an effective communication style of yours, that you know your audience, you know your people, you know what to write, how to communicate. What is the communication process? What do you do? As a sender, you identify the purpose and you use the right mode of sending the message. So you have communication modes. You can make a phone call, you can mail it, you can have an SMS, you can send a diary note, you can put a social media note update. You can use Instagram, you can use LinkedIn, you can use Facebook page, you can use Twitter, whatever you want to use. Then the person receives it and the receiver reads it, listens to it to understand, and then interprets to reply. And then comes the process of reply or feedback. And that reply or feedback depends that whether it will be a reaction, response, or defensive arguments, depending upon with what intentions you sent the communication information, to whom you sent, and how you sent, and what kind of quality of content that you used within that communication message. So when you write a message, imagine that if you were receiving that message yourself, how would you respond it? Probably that will give you an insight of refining that message, improvising that message so that it communicates what exactly you want to communicate. So you can always reread your message to understand that is it conveying the purpose that I want to fulfill. So that is the most important thing to be an effective communicator, that how do you compose your message? How do you keep your audience, your thought process? If you are sending it to a student, it will be different. If you are sending it to a parent, it will be different. If you are sending it to your leadership, the mode and the style, the word, everything would be different. So communication has to be intentional, purposeful, interactive, and in a way, the communication mode also has to be chosen according to whom you are addressing. So that is how the whole process of communication goes on. If you are aware of each and every aspect of this communication process, probably 50% of your problems of interpersonal relationships, intrapersonal relationships, collaboration and cooperation with teams, collaboration on the EdTech platforms, they become easier. So to make your work process, to make your personal life, professional life easy, smooth, going, happy, and purposeful, remember that your communication skills have to be as per the audience, as per the time, as per the occasion, as per the situation. Now, quality of our communication depends upon what we say, and how we appear, means our body gestures, our body language. What does it define? What does it say? What does it convey? Is it a stiff body? Is it a relaxed one? Is your face glowing with happiness of interaction? Are your eyes conveying the same impression? Is your voice affectionate or aggressive or dominating? Everything counts in quality of communication. Now, effectiveness of communication depends upon the feedback, impact, response, and reaction. So your face could be smiling or grinning or having tears of joy or happiness or peacefulness, depending upon what you have done. So most of the time we have misunderstanding of communication. My words came out fine. They were processed incorrectly by your brain. So the notion of implied meaning is the root of misunderstanding. So 3 myths that you must remember to be an effective communicator are: miscommunication, check it out; misunderstanding, check it out, clarify with the person with whosoever has misunderstood you, or you have been misunderstood by the other; and also the misinterpretation. All these things, 3 miss, if you miss out and check out, probably you are an effective communicator. So let's not have implied meaning in our communication message. That is why it has to be crisp, clear, brief, and to the point. To be an effective communicator, I've just drawn the 3 intersection of the skills that we need. One is oral skills, next is written skills, and then we have non-verbal skills. Each one of them has got a set of skills that we need to use, and they have all been mentioned here. You can look at that. Oral skills, presentation, how you are presenting. So audience awareness. As a teacher, if I'm conveying it with my students, as an educator, my presentation of word choices, content choices, and the supportive teaching aids would be different. And how will I be listening actively to the responses of students while I am delivering the lesson? And how I would be giving the critical appraisal. Before I give, how will I get it from the students also? What could be set right? So getting feedback is another something very important. So how do you write? Written skills, academic writing, data presentation, critical reading, revision, and editing. And non-verbal, of course, we are talking about personal presentation, audience awareness, body language. If you see the next slide, few slides will be showing that non-verbal skills count almost 65% of our communication. So be ready for the occasion as the occasion demands for you. These are the, so non-verbal communication means actions speak louder than the words. The way you are behaving, the way you are participating, the way you are interactive, the way you are quiet, or only your face is speaking out. That's what makes a lot of difference to be an effective communicator. Non-verbal communication, Spoken words only have 7% effect, and the tone, intonation, modulation of your voice 38%, and non-verbal is 55%. And if we combine these three into second diagram, verbal, oral and written becomes 35%, and non-verbal, your body language, your facial expressions, your gestures become 65%. Look at yourself in the mirror when you are speaking sometimes, that how does your face change when you are angry? How does your face expression, your body posture changes when you are not happy about a situation, when you are stressed, when you have anxiety, when you have fearful situation, when you have a stage fright, when you have to give a presentation and you are not ready. So look in the mirror to find out that how your body system responds to that. Non-verbal communication, all these make a part of non-verbal communication. How you are speaking, what you are speaking, all of them are interlinked. Your sign language, audio, visual, body language, facial expression, gestures, postures, and even the eye contact with the audience. That is very important to be an effective communicator. So you are connecting with the students, you're connecting with the audience when you are speaking it out. That is one part that makes you an effective communicator. Now we will talk about certain simple strategies for developing language skills. And these are some takeaways for all of you. At least some part of it that as an educator you could implement in your professional and personal life. Each one of us probably can take up this. And let's remember that these strategies of language development is not only for English. I am on two apps, English on Elevate. You can download Elevate from Google Apps and see that how English is being done there. I'm using another app, Duolingo, where I'm learning Spanish. Gracias por estar aquí. Thank you for being here. So how these apps are also using a systematic way of listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. How one of the programs in that is agreements, where they are teaching you all about prepositions. How they start with the visuals only to make you familiar with the word vocabulary. So how do you make your children familiar with the word vocabulary to begin with? Then you come to sentences, then you come to fill in the blanks, then you come to phonics. Everything makes a difference, but the sequence of learning a language is there. So if you are interested in learning how the language is being taught, you can download the apps Elevate if you want to learn English, because this has got math and other skills also. But English for sure it is there. Duolingo, I'm learning Spanish on that. You can try it out some other app if you want to learn some other language. But the whole idea is to share is to make you understand that how language development skills are being nurtured through in a systematic process. So the very first thing that we talk about is how do you overcome glossophobia? Glossophobia means the fear of speaking on the stage. Each one of us has got it. No one is, we've seen children coming to the stage and they just become dumbstruck. They don't speak even after such a long practice. It's okay, we have a stage fear. Many of us have it, even grown up and adults have it. In fact, if you talk about almost 75% of the people have this fear. So let's not be becoming conscious of it that I can't speak. But the good news is that we can all nurture this skill and we can all overcome this. So practice, 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 practice speaking in front of the mirror. Practice speaking to your own family members in the beginning. Practice speaking in front of your friend circle in the beginning to develop the confidence of speaking in the public. So the very first point is, let's overcome social interaction nervousness. Then only we can be a good, effective communicator. Unless I can overcome this, it will not work out for me. Then how do I do it? Developing confidence. The way I said, interact first with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and keep speaking it out. And even when you stand on the stage in the beginning, the very first time, just imagine that I am the only one on the stage. I am the universe. I am speaking to the universe. So that you have developed that self-confidence to be on the stage. And start with familiar topics and audience. Practice visualizing the audience. When I'm speaking, let me imagine that there are people in front of me and then I'm speaking it out. You can also do something very good is record and listen to your own voice to understand that whether your voice was confident, trembling, or you are having that feeling of shivering within your body. So record your voice. So the simple activities like ham sessions you can begin with. Now what is ham? Half a minute session when you speak non-stop in the beginning, irrespective of grammatical mistakes, irrespective of even the words. It multilingual, you can do it multilingual also. The only condition is set your time alarm for 30 seconds in the beginning, half a minute, and speak continuously to develop that confidence. Then go for jam session, just a minute session. Speak for 1 minute non-stop on any topic of your choice. Then go for speaking on unknown topics for longer time. Then start talking in continuation with the last speaker and the next speaker, so that you know you are actively listening to also when you are wanting to connect with the last speaker who has spoken before you and the next speaker you want to link with who is going to speak after you. So it's a stepwise process of developing the competency of speaking. So ham sessions, jam sessions, I hope you will remember these words. Half a minute, just a minute. So start with it today itself if you want to improve your apprehension of speaking in the public. And if you already are a good speaker, how will we nurture these skills further? The further slide will be sharing those pointers with us. Active listening skills, ability to receive and interpret communications accurately. How deep listening, so learn to comprehend. So as I'm speaking, so are you comprehending the points? Are you making a visual mental model, visual picturization of how will you get? Are you taking notes? What kind of learner you are? So work style, visual, audio, read and write and canon. Are you doing certain things with your hand gestures and embodying those messages in your mind that this is how I remember? So are you taking out on your fingertips that this is the first point, the second point I should remember like this? Are you making mnemonics for that so that I remember these strategies like that? So the first pointer was ham and jam sessions. Then how can you improve word vocabulary? You can have a word chain game. So it is just like in Tashni. If I say a word, 5-letter word, let's say eligible. So the last letter is E. So the next person has to speak next word starting with E. Let's say we say the example of eatable. Again, it comes E. So the process goes on. So how do you really have word vocabulary games that are word chain games that you can play with your children at home, with your friends at home, in order to develop your word vocabulary? Because in order to be a good, effective communicator, you have to be having a very good vocabulary. So how you are allowing the person to speak without interrupting the talk, because the moment you interrupt the other person, the flow of thoughts, the communication process that is going on in one particular direction gets interrupted. So listen carefully to the complete content before you ask a question, before you want some clarification from the person, so that you know that maybe your question will be answered in the due course of time. But so you have to be patient listener also, active listener also. Next one is developing fluency. How do you have easy flow and efficiency of for that you got to read and read and read a lot, so that you have some information, prior knowledge about the topic on which you want to speak. So how do you have accuracy of speaking, how you have speed of speaking, how you have expression and comprehension? So how many times you practice your topic in the beginning, how many times you compile your thoughts in the beginning when you are practicing it, so that you develop fluency of communication. Then how do you do it? Focus on skills of reading, writing, and comment. If you read a newspaper, write a summary of the editor column if you have read that. If you're watching a TV channel, write the main pointers of the network or the whatever episode of anything that you have watched. Compose the things yourself, compose a poetry, compose something, so that you know how can I write the rhyming words for the junior classes, how can I write, weave a story. When you weave a story, what happens is the first person says one line. Let's say, once upon a time there was a boy. So second person has to repeat the first line and add a line that makes continuity. That means you're an active listener. Once upon a time there was a boy. He was going to the forest and he met with something. So the third person repeats the first two also and adds a line to this. So how do you have a weaving the story in order to maintain fluency and active listening skills and creating certain lines which are linked to the previous concept. So the next activity that you can try it out, weave a story with your friends, play a word chain game with your friends and your family circle, and do ham and jam sessions in the beginning. So I'm keep repeating the pointers. So refining comprehensions, how do you refine? Construct meaning and retrieve information from whatever you have read or listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills, LSRW. Even CBSE was doing the assessment of active speaking and listening skills. Apart from this, you have comprehension, inferential, interpretation, reference to the concept skills that you need to really nourish within yourself. So what are the different strategies? Word vocabulary, ask questions, focus on context clues, main idea, visualize and organize. So when you're teaching a child even a rhyme in the junior classes, do it in a way so that instead of making the whole repetition, because you don't want them to cram up, but to understand. So in order to repeat that, ask the questions like a simple line. Kookaburra sits on the old gum tree. Where does Kookaburra sit? Who is Kookaburra? Is it a bird? Is it an animal? So even if you say one line, it should make a difference for the child to understand what you are saying. So keep in the beginning, in order to develop language, ask questions to keep the child actively listening to you. So even when we are doing teaching lessons on the EdTech platforms, we interact with the students in order to understand they are involved and participating in whatever we are doing. The next step is interactive aptness. How do you how easily you can link the communication information. So she said that, therefore it is like this, therefore I'm taking it forward. So you are linking the information from the group discussions, from the paper presentations, from the teaching lesson that you have been going on, from the learning process that you're going. So how do you link the various pieces of the puzzle and put it together? That is interactive aptness. In a group discussion, you have to be very, very conscious of how you are interacting with the pointers that the other people are speaking upon. Therefore, active listening skills, as again and again we find, that are very important to be an effective communicator. Then how do you initiate and participate effectively in discussions? That is interactive aptness. So are you involved, interested, and participating with your full willingness to be part of that? That makes a whole difference. So think, pair, share, write, pair, share, and read aloud strategies work very good in the junior classes up to grade 8 in order to make the children fluent speakers. You can do the same for yourself also within your own groups. Next step is efficiency or excellence of quality communication that you do. So what is your caliber of connecting and influencing? Why people are motivators? Who everybody cannot be a motivational speaker. How everybody cannot be influencer. Everybody cannot be a leader. So there are people who have special traits of quality communication, style of communication. That is why they become influencers. That is why they become motivational speakers. That is why they become leaders who drive the changes in the organizations, who create organizations that learn. So you are a person depending upon your caliber of connecting and influencing people. How do you manage interactions effectively with all stakeholders? As an educator, how you're connecting with the students, the parents, the support staff of the school system, and the superior people superior to you, the management and the middle level managers and the faculty. That makes you an effective, efficient communicator, having the skills to drive the processes. So it is strategies programmatic thinker you are. You are a process-driven people. You are aware of the sequence with which you are going through. You create remarkable messages which are crisp, clear, and impactful. I remember my principal coming to my meeting, staff meeting, with just 15 minutes time, to the point, started, put it down, discuss any points, and then close it up. Otherwise, we find many meetings just like keep going on, and we are, most of the participants probably at times are not even aware of what is going on. So how do you make your meetings, interactions meaningful, purposeful, have a clear, crisp idea of what you want to convey, how you want to convey, through visuals, through words, through worksheets, through presentation, whatever you want to, but be clear of what you want to do. Online communication effectiveness skills, something very, very important, that we internet etiquettes. I repeat once again, we need to be respecting cultural diversity, cultural sensitivity, gender diversity, gender sensitivity. Be responsible for the way I write comments, the way I appreciate, the way I really put up my ignorance, or the way I put up my reactions to that. So how do I nurture interpersonal relationship? Because the way you comment, the way you appreciate, the way you really react to any communication on the social media makes you a favorite person, or a person who is left aloof in the social groups also. So understanding social emotional intelligence is something very, very important. So how do you understand the emotions of the persons with whom you are interacting, understands that how his heart or his face or his emotions would be impacted if I say these things. So if you are aware of the social emotional intelligence, which is SEL, is something very, very important in the world of today, for not only for the school education, but even to in any organization, to be an effective leader who understands the issues of personal and professional within the organizations and drives the organizations according to that. Then only you are a successful leader, successful communicator, successful influencer, and motivator to drive the people for any kind of transformation that you are looking forward to. So be mindful of cultural diversity and respect gender sensitivity. Next is, what is your communication style? You can make the people grin, smile, sleep, frown, or even say, oh, what is he talking about? So what kind of styles do you have? Approach and attitude of communication. Intonation and modulation of content of communication. You have a content, but how do you convey it? If it is a theater group, performance would be different. If you are doing a role play, it would be different. If you are having a debate, if you are speaking for it, it will be different. If you are doing the rebuttal, it would be different. So how does your intonation, voice, modulation, word vocabulary changes according to what kind of event you are participating in? That makes a lot of difference. So whichever style you want to nurture for yourself, do it according to that. But keep in mind the audience with whom you would be interacting. So when you have to say certain arguments in favor of your topic or against the topic, be mindful of what kind of comments you would be using. They should be comments which are relevant to the topic rather than the individual or the culture. That's very important for all of us. So that defines your communication style. You could be aggressive when you're arguing, you could be passive. Okay, fine, it is going on, let it go on. You could be assertive. I want it like this only. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And then you could be manipulative. So whatever has been given to you, you manipulate that information to serve your own purpose. That is kind of style. That is also a manipulative communication style. And you could be passive aggressive. Means you are listening patiently, your face doesn't show anything, but within yourself you are angry. So there are different kinds of styles, but every style has its own advantage or disadvantage. So you as a person have to understand that how do I respond to situations in which I am? How do I respond depending upon the people with whom I'm interacting, so that I can go ahead with the goals that I have set for myself. The most important step, the implementation time. It is perfect 9 and let's do it fine. Get set to initiate the learning indicators, the goal setting, smart goal setting, specific, real, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. I will practice this for 1 month and ensure that I have improved my level from 10% to 50%. So whichever skill you want to focus upon, you want to focus on word vocabulary, your intonation, your voice modulation, your confidence. You have to focus on one by one. There's a sequence process. You want to focus on listening skills, speaking skills, reading skills, writing skills, composition, interpretation, inference. You have to look for that and accordingly work on one by one in a sequence so that ultimately after a certain period of time, you emerge as an efficient, proficient, excellent communicator. I hope so. We'll take away some certain points from where and start working on. Then how do you make a plan and just implement it? So discipline is something that is required for you yourself to be becoming an effective communicator. Nobody else can do it for you. It has to be self-directed, self-driven, self-paced, self-motivated. And the most important thing is discipline to maintain the continuum of learning. Unless you do that, probably we cannot do anything, leave apart communication skill. Anything that you want to do, whether you want to have a weight loss, whether you want to improve your health, whether you want to do anything, mission learning certain things, everything has to be disciplined, done regularly, systematically, in a process, in a sequence, so that we end up achieving the goal. So start from the realistic situation where you are, make your learning map, keep your learning progress tracking, then ensure that every day you are better than what you were previous day. You have learned or added something new to your skills, something new to your persona, something new to your professional skills, something new to your reading list. Because unless you are reading a lot, have a lot of information on any topic, you can't be communicating with the people. So communication can be done appropriately only when there is enough of information with all of you so that we are able to speak on that. Now, for example, if I have to say debate, examination should be done away with. And I have no clue about what examination are, in which group we are talking about. If we are talking about the junior classes or talking senior classes, or we're talking of higher education, or we are talking of competitive examination. So there has to be relevance of whatever you are talking about. So it has to be clear that what is the topic on which you want to communicate. And finally, we have the wrap up, and this wrap up is with a bouquet of flowers for all of you, so that we are concluding December 2020 with happiness, prosperity, and looking forward to stepping into 2021 with blessings of the universe for the complete mankind. So get set to initiate everything, and then this is what we have focused, wrapping up verbal, non-verbal, written. So communication is one of the most important skills you require for a successful life. And finally, this is the mind map for the complete process that we have done today. It is critical. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is one of the quotes from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey's book. I hope you have all read that book. This is, I think, some book that every person as an individual must read and learn something about it. With that, I wrap up, wishing you all happiness of stepping into 2021. And congratulations to Dr. Gulshan Sharma for completing 500 webinars today and then going into the Guinness Book of World Records. And even equally happy I am to be part of this series so that I make my bit of contribution to the education sector, to the service industry that Dr. Gulshan Sharma is leading and a part of. Thank you, Dr. Gulshan Sharma, for
Thank you, ma'am.
giving me this opportunity to share all this.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very kind of you, ma'am. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to have you today with us. And you are on board. You are a part of this journey. You have done a remarkable communication skill is very, very important skill which is required today when we talk about soft skills. And with these words, we pray to Almighty all the good days for you, good health and happiness and lots of growth in 2021. And we all work together. With these words, with these blessings, we are signing off. Wish you all a 2021 wonderful. And this is the last